Rolex is a super fancy brand that's worth about $8 billion now. It all started a long time ago with a kid who lost his family's money. Even though he faced a lot of problems, he didn't give up. He left his home, went to another country, and after working hard for a few years, he followed his dream and started making watches. Turns out, this decision made him a pioneer in making cool wristwatches and build a huge successful business. Hans Wilsdorf was born in Kumbach, Germany, on March 22, 1881. His family had a business that sold iron goods, and he was the second of 3 children. Sadly, his mom got sick and passed away in 1892, and a year later, his dad also died. This made Hans an orphan at just 12 years old. His uncles took charge, selling the family business to fund their education, putting them in a fancy boarding school called Arnestenum Coburg in Bavaria, Germany. Hans didn't like this move and felt like an outsider in the new town, facing teasing because of his religion. To cope, he focused on school. Although he didn't like his uncle's decision, Hans later realized it played a crucial role in his success. Hans excelled in school, particularly in math and languages like French and English. He loved reading and befriended a Swiss boy who shared stories about La Chaux-de-Fonds, a city in Switzerland famous for watchmaking. This sparked Hans's interest in the place. One day, Hans had enough of his life and left the boarding school in Germany when he was 19. He moved to Geneva, Switzerland, and got a job as an apprentice for a company that exported pearls. This company bought pearls from different places, sorted them, and sold them to jewelers, making good profits without creating anything. While there, Hans learned their business tactics and earned good money for his age. A friend offered him a job at Kuno Korten, a major watchmaking company in La Chaux-de-Fonds, a place he always wanted to go. In 1900, he joined them, working as an English correspondent and clerk, using his language skills. He learned how to fix pocket watches, verified their accuracy, and gained a lot of knowledge about watchmaking. At 22, after his military service, he moved to London to work for another high-quality watch company. In this new role, he focused on increasing sales, finding more clients, and growing their sales over 2 years. One day, Hans sat outside with his older brother-in-law, Alfred James Davis, discussing life and their future plans. Hans shared his confidence in opening a watch business but needed capital. Despite being young, Alfred, recognizing Hans' passion, took a chance on him, ready to invest. In 1905, they founded Wilsdorf and Davis Limited, later becoming Rolex. Teaming up with Swiss company Hermann Egler, they imported movements to England, establishing an office in Bienne, Switzerland. Specializing in affordable timepieces, Hans disliked pocket watches. Wristwatches were considered feminine and less precise. While pocket watches were popular, Hans found them inconvenient. In 1914, Hans predicted wristwatches would replace pocket watches, committing to perfecting them. Traveling Europe, he met watchmakers, releasing his wristwatches. Crafting each one, he aimed for high quality and reliability, learning from others in the industry. Shortly after, his company gained momentum, becoming one of the top firms in England's watchmaking industry by 1908. Hans aimed to rename his company with a high-class, catchy, short name universally understood. After much effort, he coined Rolex, registering it as a trademark in 1908. In the following years, Rolex gained a reputation for high-quality wristwatches, embraced by wealthy individuals. Even during World War I, when many businesses struggled, Rolex thrived. The reliable wristwatches became preferred by soldiers for their ease of use and precision. By 1914, the company employed 60 people with offices in London. Rolex earned trust with the first wristwatch chronometer and a Class A precision certificate from London's Kew Observatory. However, challenges arose in 1914 when Britain imposed a 33% tax on companies exporting goods, leading Hans to move the headquarters to Bienne, Switzerland, also driven by growing anti-German sentiments. In 1915, he renamed the company Rolex Watch Corporation Limited. Years later, Hans registered Rolex's famous trademark logo, the 5-star crown, implemented on their watch dials. In 1919, the Rolex Watch Corporation moved its main office from Britain to Geneva. The company shifted its focus to manufacturing watch movements in Bienne and transporting them to Geneva for meticulous verification, adding high-class designs before launching products. In Geneva, Hans dedicated himself to enhancing wristwatch technical innovation, emphasizing tight cases for damage protection. His patience and determination paid off in 1926 when Rolex released the revolutionary Rolex Oyster, the first ever waterproof wristwatch. Hans waited for the perfect opportunity to introduce it creatively. In 1927, he learned about Mercedes Glixa, a London woman attempting to swim across the English Channel. Encouraging her to wear a Rolex Oyster, Hans saw the chance for publicity. Though the swim wasn't a complete success, the Rolex Oyster emerged from the water in perfect condition. The innovative watch gained international fame as a revolutionary timepiece. Hans capitalized on this by marketing the Rolex Oyster in fish bowls with real fishes at dealerships, creating a successful strategy that captured people's interest. In 1933, Rolex Oysters made headlines related to a Mount Everest flight. The crew members, wearing Rolexes, were pleased to find their watches fully functional after the flight. Another instance was when famous driver Malcolm Campbell set a speed record of 300 miles per hour in 1935 while wearing his Rolex. Malcolm permitted Hans to publicize it, refusing payment. At this point, people began to see Rolex not just as a well-designed watch, but also as a trustworthy, reliable, and technical wristwatch suitable for everyday use. From 1934 to 1940, Hans produced high-quality watches outside the Rolex brand, trademarking them in his name. Unfortunately, this venture was discontinued due to animosity in French, British, and US markets towards Germany. Despite his achievements, Hans faced occasional struggles in the market due to his German name, requiring double the effort to build a successful company. When World War II started, Rolex faced challenges. Exporting products from Switzerland became tough and costly, impacting sales in major European markets. Adding to Hans's troubles, his wife passed away in 1944. To honor her, he founded the Wilsdorf Foundation, a charity for social causes. Just before Hans passed away, he transferred full ownership of Rolex to the Wilsdorf Foundation, which still controls Rolex today. Hence, Rolex won't go public, be sold, or pay taxes as it operates like a charity. After World War II, Rolex thrived. In 1946, they sold 50,000 certified Rolex chronometers, certified for 2 decades. In 1947, sales hit 100,000, doubling in a year. The success was fueled by their 1945 release, Rolex Datejust, the first waterproof self-winding wristwatch showing the date. Nearly a decade later, the Rolex Day-Date came out, waterproof and self-winding, displaying both the date and day of the week. These watches, a standard for everyday use, endure. In the 50s, Rolex kept unveiling innovative watches. The iconic Rolex Submariner, introduced in 1953, was the first deep-diving waterproof wristwatch, functional up to 100 meters underwater. Rolex has transformed into today's luxury brand, targeting an exclusive audience of high society. Rolex remains the world's most recognizable watch brand. From an orphan boy, Hans Wilsdorf shaped the watch industry. His passion for design and innovation put him among the industry's most influential, evident in everyone wearing a Rolex today. That is all for the video. Don't forget to like and share it with your friends and family. Also, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe and press the bell icon to stay updated.